Welcome back, guys. Thanks for stopping by. What we got going today is I'm going to try and build a little shelf for some of those 27-gallon yellow top totes. It's been raining on and off the past couple days. It's a little messy out. So instead of making a mess with all the equipment, I figured we'd go ahead and knock this little project out. Been wanting to do it, trying to make the most out of my space with this little barn room right here. You know, we moved to a trailer, so we don't have an attic anymore. So just trying to make the most of our space. So let's get to it. A few tools we're gonna be using on the job is a little 7 1/4 circular saw, a square and a marker or a pencil. I like a marker. Hammer, nails, and I got my drill with a little 5/64 bit in case some of these boards start wanting to split. Screws would probably be easier, but I would have had to buy screws. I did not have to buy nails. This box is like probably 60-70 pounds of these little nails, so we're gonna be using nails. So this room has really turned into a disaster since we moved here. We just stuck everything that didn't really have a place in here. And like I said, I'm trying to make the most of my space. So the shelf we're building is gonna be to fit these 27-gallon totes, yellow top totes. We've been getting them from Lowe's. You can get them from a bunch of places. But I got these shelves, these metal shelves, and I really do like them, but I feel like we could make a more compact space for these totes. And I know they sell some, like at Lowe's. I think they're like $50, but they're cheap plastic. They look like they wouldn't last very long, because I'm sure we're gonna load these up with some heavy stuff. But I just didn't want to go that route. I bought all that wood, which I'll show you in a minute. I got 16 2x4x8s, and it cost me $61 for the lumber. And like I said, I've had that box of nails for years, and it probably cost $6 at a yard sale. So I didn't have to buy any screws or nothing like that. That would have bumped the cost up. But and where I think we're gonna build them is kind of right here in this corner. I'm gonna do 2 totes wide and 5 tall. I think it's gonna be nice. Let's get to cleaning up. So we got that good and clean, just so we can come right back in here and track more dirt. Perfect. So the uprights for this thing, the total height is gonna be 76 5/8 inches tall. So all these boards I bought are 2x4x8s. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut, and I'm gonna need 6 of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these uprights. Guess I could go ahead and just mark 6 of them. Alright, so we got our 6 boards all marked up. We'll get to cutting. And I tell you how I like to cut them with a circular saw like this is I like to get my square, my speed square, and line it up. That's gonna kind of weird trying for me to do this backwards here so y'all can see. I like to hold my square on here when I put the deck of this circular saw to hold me perfectly square so I don't get off. I'm sure somebody else could, keep it right on that line. I don't do this enough. I'm not that good. This just always seems to make it turn out well for me, especially these being the legs. I would like for them to be as square cut as possible. So all those are done, and I got me a list right here. I'm keeping up with how many pieces of each I need, and I'm just marking them off as I go. So that was the length, or the height, excuse me. So now we're going to do the length, which that cut is going to be 45 3/4 inches. Let's see, 45 3/4. 4 of those. So we'll take 2 boards, cut them in half, because these are 8-foot boards. And I'll have enough. Just have to trim off a little bit for the next set. So we'll go ahead and mark this next piece off of that same board. Quarter. So I got these directions to build this thing offline. I put a little clip in there of it, or a picture of it, and it gave dimensions, everything. Like I said, I'll put a little snapshot of it in there. So it said whenever we're putting these runners on there to where those totes are going to be sliding into, it said the fastest way is just build you some little spacer boards at 11 inches and 5/8. So some of this scrap from those the legs, I think that will be plenty to make us some little spacer boards. Let's see, 11 and 5/8 inch. I'm going to go ahead and write spacer on here. So now I'm going to have to do a lot of cutting. I need to hold, eventually this thing's going to be able to hold 10, 2 wide by 5 tall. So that being the case, I'm going to have a little holder for each side of the tote. So that'll be 20. They were on the little web page, they were calling them runners. So 20 runners. And those are going to be at 30 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to be cutting for a minute. So I bought an extra board that wasn't necessary. You could get this done just like this with 15 2x4x8s. But you can always use a 2x4 somewhere. So we got 20 runners. These are going to be the width of the shelf here, 45 1/8, I believe, or 5/8. Then we have 6 legs, 2 here and 4 over here. So I think right now I'm gonna lay these out and build them in sections and then carry them in the room and put them all together in there. So it said in the directions online for our top gap, our first runner, the clearance above that you want 2 7/8 of an inch. Whew. So I'm going to put 1 nail on each side and then get my spacing right. We're going to call this the top. So I'll admit I didn't read the directions fully, but I did look at the pictures, and what it looked like was these spacers will fit in here just like this. And that's what will make the space for your next runner. Keep moving on down. And there we have our first side. So again, this one's going to be 2 7/8 inch from the top for our top tote to have some clearance. And we're going to build this one out just the exact same as the other one. Well, the only difference is going to be once we do it and it looks just like the other one, we're going to flip it over and add another set of runners, because this is going to be the middle support of the shelf. is the middle piece.
Heavy?
A lot heavier than the rest. Not too bad. We got all our pieces built. It's the next morning. Had to go spend some time with the mothers for Mother's Day. So went ahead and brought them in here. We're going to piece it together and slide it pretty much right here. I do think I'm going to use screws for this piece just because it'll be easier trying to, instead of beating and banging, trying to hold all these pieces together. So we'll lay them out, screw it together, and slide it in place. So according to the internet, there's supposed to be these legs distance between this middle piece and the side piece is 20 and 5/8. So I'll go ahead and mark both ends before we set it. All right. That's all there is to it. Let's stand it up, and then I want this side to be over here. Before I go screwing it down to the wall, let's see if it works. Huh. How about that? Pretty steady. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, that turned out about as good as it could have. I'm not much of a carpenter, but just about anybody, I think, could do this. So if you like the video, please like, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see us work on next. Have a blessed day.